I don't really like politics, but for some odd reason, I really enjoy pointing out all the hypocrisy that happens in life. It is what it is, so let's go.
Don't get me wrong.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm a man, man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
I've never seen a man sit like that and tell me he's a man. If I sit like that, I would not be surprised somebody would think I'm gay. Especially when you're trying to make a commercial to get the butch Republican man. Have you ever... Come on.
Enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
Carburetors have been made in years. Carburetors were largely phased out of mass production vehicles by the early 1990s as electronic fuel injection became the standard for improving fuel efficiency. Very simple.
I ain't afraid of bears.
That's what bear hugs are for.
Something that a lot of people don't know, when people talk about bear hugs in the LGBT community, they're not talking about bears. They're talking about big men. And this whole commercial have all these weird messages that, hey, you'll see.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of family.
I don't know why they keep saying Trump is against IVF. There's clips that he says he's not against that. They keep using something that he's not against.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Full-throated endorsement. Who speaks like that? If this is an ad that you want to get the man to vote for you, you want the Republican man to vote for you because you're endorsing Kamala full-throated. You're making a commercial for your own party. Nobody that is the right-wing macho that you think that we are is going to speak like that. Speak like them.
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters like.
I'm man enough to raw dog a flight.
I don't even have to do commentary.
It sucked. Not worth it.
I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse. I'm man enough to tell you that I cry at Love Actually. Good Will Hunting.
West Side Story.
That and Predator.
And I'm sick of so-called men domineering, belittling, and controlling women just so they can feel more powerful. That's not how my mama raised me.
My mama raised me for 6 years. Guess what? I'm still a man. At least she didn't raise a hypocrite other than my left eye.
I love women.
I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
And I'm man enough to call them out.
Ad they was running during the football
man.
games this weekend claiming the vice president supports funding gender transition surgeries for all prison inmates and migrants in the U.S. That was nuts. And I don't know if it was
I wouldn't say nuts, but that was crazy.
That was funny.
I don't know if it was the backdrop of football, but when you hear the narrator say Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners, that one line, I was like, hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Definitely see that she did.
That ad was effective.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Even the liberal media was shocked Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners and illegal aliens.
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for...
Kamala took a picture with a transgender. And it was this what they were saying, that it made it seem like Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money. That's what it came from.
I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah,
Isn't that what they're saying?
It literally said that Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners, and it talks about how she supports funding gender transition surgeries for all prison inmates and migrants in the United States. That ad was impactful. It was. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, damn.
Was it because it was during football?
Yes.
I think it was because it was during football.
But the last week, like the contrast of it.
Yes.
But then last week they had the same thing running on Tim Walsh and said he likes tampons in boys' bathrooms.
I would not have paid that. I don't think I would have paid that commercial no attention if it was any other time. But when you're watching football and you just what the hell? In between beer commercials, they give you this?
Yeah.
And that is why a lot of people say, you're kind of out of touch. Why would you think this is a good idea? I mean, it's not only that. If you want to get the Republican people on your side, the gangster butch people, why would you make a commercial like that?
It was a rough week. I mean, her faves are down. They're struggling with, the front page of the New York Times this morning, Democrats struggling with African-American voters, particularly African-American men. This gender gap issue is real. It's a real problem, and you see the Democrats reacting to it. And I think what they are now finally in October, the election, coming to realize is that a lot of men think Democrats care more about dudes who want to become women than dudes who just want to be dudes.
Well,
and no hunting, cosplay, or cringy videos is going to change it. The bet is made.
Look at them, come on. It's not possible. Look at the commercial.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor?
Look what Kamala Harris is saying.
For prisoners.
For prisoners, every transgender.
You put them together. They don't feel like you care about their needs, because you only talk about their needs in a negative way to promote something else.
Working class men, whether you're black, Hispanic, or white, persistently, consistently do not believe the Democratic Party, and specifically Kamala Harris, are going to do a thing for them. They've been told that they're the problem, and I suspect they're going to rise up on Election Day and tell the elites who told them that you're wrong. It was a rough week.
That guy should have been in the commercial talking like that. He would got more Republican on your side than this whole freaking video.
I don't think Americans are anti-immigration. They're anti-chaos, right? They don't want us to do more than we can, but they recognize, at least most people do, we got the lowest birth rate we've had in well over 100 years. We're not at replacement level, which means we got to have somebody come here if we want to keep growing the economy. Unless one of you is one of these artificial, which I'm not sure would be good for. I'll grow with no work.
It's important to replace the people that you made previously. And right now, we're not making these people, so we're getting replaced because the money needs to keep rolling in.
We have an old president in office.
Okay, so everybody seems to be worried about J.D. Vance and dishonesty, or Donald Trump and dishonesty. I never hear the same concern about Harris and the lies that she tells about Trump, or in Walz himself, who gave the most disastrous response to a question about his own dishonesty about being in Tiananmen Square that I've ever heard in a debate. He also did the same thing with Dana Bash when questioned about dishonesty a couple of months ago. And effectively what he has said is, sorry guys, I'm too dumb to tell the truth. I mean, he called himself a knucklehead. I have bad grammar. This is a guy who holds himself up to be a school teacher and a coach. Is that the life lesson he's giving the kids that are under his care? Hey, you can lie, and then you can just kind of slough it off as being, too dumb to tell the truth. I think we spend 99% of our time going down rabbit holes about Vance and Trump and honesty in campaigns, and we spend no time at all holding Walz and Harris to the same standard, and I don't understand it.
Put this guy on an ad. If you put him next to me, you might believe I have 3 eyes. This guy is going to make people watch CNN not because they want to laugh at you, because they finally see somebody confront you and try to reach a middle ground, which most people won't.
Case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't you? They made an ad about a young woman who'd been killed by an immigrant. Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened. But if they're all properly vetted, and that doesn't happen, and America is not having enough babies to keep our populations up. So we need immigrants that have been vetted to do work. There wouldn't be a problem. And he couldn't keep people all torn up and upset. Case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't you? They made an ad about a young woman who'd been killed by an immigrant. Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened.
It would surprise you how many old school Democrats right now people are labeling conservatives. What Bill Clinton is saying is literally what a lot of conservatives are saying.
He's talking about the enemy within our country, Pennsylvania. He's talking about that he considers anyone who doesn't support him or who will not bend to his will an enemy of our country. It's a serious issue. He is saying that he would use the military to go after them.
And guess what? We just had a third shooter. If you believe all the words that she's saying, I'm not surprised there's going to be a fourth before the end of November.
Day. So I'm wondering, would you support efforts on a federal level to change Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day? And why does that matter so much?
Sure. Yeah. And why it matters is, to your very point, we have to remember history. And this question, I think, really is connected to the last question about our morals and our compass and our goals and our aspirations. We have to remember our history. Uncomfortable, to your point about truths, though it may make us.
It feels like anybody can just go to the mic and just ask for anything they want. And she's like, I will promise you this. If it's empathy, I'll just give it to you.
And here's the thing. It makes you wonder. Why does his staff want him to hide away? One must question. Are they afraid that people will see that he is too weak and unstable?
Kamala, did you forget what Joe Rogan said about you?
It all bothers me, the fragility of the human mind. You know, that so everybody forever was like, Kamala Harris is the worst vice president. She's the least popular vice president of all time. And then in a moment in time, all of a sudden she's our solution. She's our hero. Everybody's with her. All these social media posts about her. Try Googling a negative story on her. You won't find one.
So,
ta-da!
Okay,
Kamala, you were hiding for more than 3.5 years as a vice president, and you didn't even go to the border. You didn't even fix the border. But now that suddenly you were selected by the high and mighty people and not the citizen, you're like, hey, now I'm going to do a great job. I don't know.
Like, how are you going to say this man's a failure and he became the president of the fucking United States after having bankruptcies and all this type of shit? Like, no, that's what I call resilience, okay? That's what I call resiliency. Somebody that doesn't take no for an answer, you know, despite seeming like the cloud is over you, they still find a silver lining and know how to spin that shit in order to bounce back like a fucking G. That's the type of fucking we need in a fucking leader of this fucking country. Not this cackling broad who's gonna fucking laugh, you know, at the wrong fucking shit, or, you know, something is visibly, she has no poker face. Like, she'd be in there with heads of state and be a meeting, you know, you know, just like a dilly broad would do. I'm sorry, you know, girls like her might be fun to knock off and shit like that, but as far as leading some shit, she can't lead nothing for me. She can't lead, you know, I wouldn't let her lead the blind. Like, I'm not fucking with her.
How you feel about her saying that she washes her collard greens in a bathtub?
This is her, again, being disingenuous. First of all, black people don't wash no damn greens in no tub. You dirty ass dog. How unsanitary are you to be washing collard greens in a tub and thinking that makes you more relatable? See, that's how out of touch she is, how stupid she is. She thought she was giving a relatable story to make her seem black. Oh yeah. Oh, they want me to cook their collard greens. They bring me all their collard greens in the neighborhood. I had so many greens, I had to wash them in the tub. You know? Just like she was in the, you better thank a union member. You better thank a union member. You know, she talking all black, but then when she get in front of the Spanish people, they said, I love you, Kamala. She said, I love you too. I love you too. Then when she gets in front of the white people, you know, you better thank a union member for everything that you have, because, you know, union members are very, you know, they're part of the economy. Like, who are you? Who are you?
I think he's trying to point out you act very unstable if your accent keeps changing depending on the people that you meet. And also that commercial that you just made, that's not gonna work for him.
Don't get me wrong. Makosa kita bong, put the fire na mi blonde kush, hash purple skunk, criollo, colombici, jam jam, turloqueta, verdetta, welcome.